Hi, my name is Donae. I'm an occupational therapist and executive functioning coach, and I'm here to help you make life easier if you have ADHD. Today, I want to talk about tolerating undone. Especially when people start coaching, they have this vision that they're just going to catch up on everything. And that's kind of an illusion. Most of adulting doesn't stay done. Now, big projects get done. Like, you can redo your kitchen, or you can do landscaping in the front of your house, or you can get a degree, or you can get a job promotion. Some projects and things are done. Your list of things to do are never like done. Most of adulting is just a cycle of us keeping track of things and keeping on top of things. We need to be able to trust ourselves and know that we're on top of life. We're managing life. We can count on ourselves. Other people can count on us without having everything done. A lot of times we use emergency and urgency to get things done and know that we're on top of things, so that like mobilizes us. But if you're always relying on that pressure to get going, not only is it overwhelming, but then you don't really trust yourself to be able to take care of things without that urgency. Maybe you don't have a way to manage undone that is not that panic mode. And that's what we're going to talk about today, how you can tolerate undone and trust yourself to do things, even if you're not in panic mode. So how do we do that? Number one, define what trusting yourself means to you. It's gonna be different for everyone. Does it mean that you're not paying late fees and dealing with overdue projects? Does it mean that you're able to do things that matter to you, not just pay bills, but you can also do other things that are important to you? Does it mean that your kids or your partner or your coworkers can count on you to show up, and you can count on yourself to show up when you say you're going to show up? Does it mean that you're going to remember dates that matter to you? That you have time for things that aren't emergencies? You have time for things like your growth and your interests and play and fun? What does it mean to be able to really count on yourself and trust yourself? And let's make that the focus rather than catching up. Okay. Another thing to kind of keep in mind is that monitoring things and prioritizing things is constant, right? We are constantly going to be doing those two things, monitoring our things to do, we're keeping track of, and deciding which things matter most. Those skills themselves can be really hard for people with ADHD. So those are hard for you. Skills can get stronger. You can get better at this, but it might make this being able to feel okay with undone hard. Because what if I didn't do the thing that mattered, and I'm not really sure what mattered, and I see all this stuff. I don't want to forget this stuff. Memory's another piece. I don't want to forget it, so I want to see it all at once. And so being able to have a system where you can keep track of things and prioritize things without having to rely on the panic all the time is a big key of being able to trust yourself too. In order to do that, we also need to be able to judge how much time something takes. I just was working with somebody yesterday, and we were looking at their things to do list, and I am not exaggerating, and I've been known to exaggerate, but this list had on today, and it was labeled today, like, I don't know, 48 hours, solid hours worth of work. And I told this client, I'm like, looking at that is making me feel really anxious. And they're like, well, maybe you need to see a therapist. I'm like, I do see a therapist, and it's still making me anxious, right? Like, seeing 48 hours worth of work when you have like an 8-hour window is going to make you anxious, no matter who you're seeing for therapy, right? That is stressful. You don't want to look at that. When I'm looking at that huge list of things, which is clearly more time than the day has, and not assigning things time, you can really quickly think that more fits in a day than does. So a piece of this too is looking at how long things take, taking your best guess if you're bad at it. It's fine. It's funny when you're bad at it to look at things and be like, oh, I thought that was going to take 20 minutes and it took me 3 hours. It's good to know. When you're feeling really stressed and overwhelmed, you don't want to take that time to guess. Like, right, you want to do things and get productive. Some of the stuff you do to prepare for judging time is going to help you. It's going to pay in dividends. But you got to do it on the front end so you can get out of this tyranny of the undone things and get a little bit more control, be able to count on yourself. We also need to be able to break out steps. When you have something you're wanting to get done and it's a big project, and you see this big project, and let's say that big project is like 24 hours of work, you don't want that big project on your list to be looking at that and keeping track of that. You want to be able to break out steps of it and pieces of it. That's a part of being able to trust yourself. Can I break this down into pieces I can actually do? Or do I have to look at this whole thing and get stressed out and overwhelmed? In order to get things done, you need to be able to see less. If you have a things to do list that has an entire week's worth of stuff on one day, that's overwhelming, and you're likely to shut down. You're likely to do something that's not even on the list at all because you just need to escape that overwhelmed feeling, which is human, which is normal. If there's a lot of undone things, which there always is, with or without ADHD, you need a strategy to not see them all at the same time. I've talked about this in earlier videos, and I'll link some of those, but I have a system that works for me where I have a running dump list of all the things I have to keep track of. But what's in the week, what's on the day is not that whole list. Like I use that list once a week to plan and pull off things that really matter, or even things that maybe they're not urgent, but I want to take a step on them. Like I'll pull out pieces of that, but I'm not looking at this whole list every single day. There's some strategy in not seeing all the undone things at once when you want to manage this feeling of undone. Things to do lists are memory tools. When we overcrowd them, they work against us. They're helping us remember, but we're remembering too much at that moment. We don't need all of that at once. One of the ways that you can tolerate this feeling of undone is to have a way for things that aren't hard deadlines. So it's not hard to figure out this project's due this day, the bill is due this day. Maybe it doesn't get paid because whatever, you don't have a system for tracking it, but that's clear. What is trickier for us when we're managing the undone things is things without deadlines or things with tons of steps. So if something doesn't have a deadline, but it's still maybe like important, like returning a call to a client, or even spending time with friends or working out, we still have to have a system where we can count ourselves to do these things. And that's different. It's problem solving that I do with clients. Sometimes that looks like habits. Sometimes that looks like actually scheduling things like an appointment. Sometimes it looks like externalizing things and maybe having some expectations outside of you that helps you get going. But there needs to be a way, if you're managing this, of you making progress on things that aren't hard deadlines. You can trust yourself that you're somebody who's going to show up for you. Like if working out matters to you, if hanging out with some friends matters to you, you're still showing up for yourself as well. And that brings me to the last point, is that managing undone also includes taking care of yourself and doing things that matter to you, showing up for you. Managing undone means I'm not going to wait for this whole list to get accomplished before I do something like work out or spend time with friends or play. Like I am going to put those things in my day as well. We're not robots and productivity machines. If you don't do that and you're just, man, I'm going to knock it out, be so productive, many people find that they get less productive because of overwhelm or distraction, or they're going to find other ways to get breaks if they haven't been allotted for them. Many people try to be so productive and they have such unrealistic expectations. And so then the result is they just collapse, right? They overwork, they work kind of sporadically and collapse. So be realistic about that and include that in. It's another way that you can help yourself manage undone. So with or without ADHD, you have to do this. With ADHD, we have some layers that make that harder, that make our judgment of that harder, our execution of that harder, our balance in that harder. A lot of these things are art and skill. You're going to have some flexibility. It won't look just like it looks like for me, but skills strengthen. So if this is hard for you, understand that you can strengthen skills, you can catch up on some skills, and you can get to the place where you trust yourself. And that's the metric you're using rather than getting caught up. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.